Well, good afternoon. Apryl Marie here, filling in for Andrew. If you're just tuning in, you've got me and John Bird. John Bird here trying to keep me out of trouble. Some days are easier than others. Today, pretty good. Haven't gotten too fired up about
You're
too
killing it,
many
girl.
things. Well,
All I have to do is just sit back and relax.
it's good to be here. Earlier, I got to say hi to Valerie. I had to get paper from her because this is, in case you haven't gotten to know Apryl Marie in real life yet, it's there's always something. I'm that woman. I am that stereotypical. Like, what did you do? I got in the car today, and with my car keys, and there were car keys in the ignition. John Bird.
Oh, that's not good.
I had yesterday ran an errand. Now, for those who are car thieves listening to 99.5, just know I can't remember ever having done this in my life. But somehow, when I went and went to the grocery store last night and came home, and for whatever reason, I don't know if I took a call. I've never. I am 45 years old and have never in my life done that. But sure enough, got in the car this morning and I was like, hey, there's car keys here.
It wasn't turned like all the way.
It was no, I had turned it off. The keys were
Okay.
like halfway out of the ignition. So, the battery didn't get redrained,
Oh,
which is good because actually I told you, for those just tuning in, I just got back from Arizona. The kids and I went and did a road trip. We went and saw parts of Route 66 in Flagstaff. Then we went and saw the Hoover Dam. Then we went to Vegas and took in, I didn't stay. It was too long a day for some of us, but some of the people in our party went and took in a show at Excalibur, the like knights fighting thing.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that's incredible.
Oh, they loved it. They loved it. Where you eat the food with your hands. It's the like medieval knights
Yes.
theme. It's what's really funny is it's my 9-year-old. His birthday is coming up, and for what he loved it. But the most random thing, John Bert, I cannot even explain it. But he gets back to the hotel room and hands me, I'm not kidding, a potato. He had a small cooked potato, and for whatever reason, on his way out, he grabbed it and brought it to me.
Oh,
And I
that's
was like,
sweet.
thank you.
Did you take a bite for him?
I did not, but my daughter did. I was like, that was in his pocket. I got nothing, but I was like, wash that off or something. But he was so thoughtful. But no. So we had that adventure. We just got back from it. But I get back to the airport, and my car battery was dead. And so yeah, I know.
Oh,
It's like
man.
the last thing because I've been traveling. It's been hot, and
the
I
last thing
had
you
three
want.
kids with me and way too much luggage in tow. It was just comical, and so I had that to deal with. And I guess I was running. I don't know. Anyway, the most Apryl Marie thing. So then I started this long tangent by saying I get here today to do the show. And I go to set up, and I have a bag. For those looking at the YouTube, you can see it. Okay, I have a Ziploc bag full of ink pens, and I left paper. I didn't bring a notebook, so I had to go in and bum
Where's
some
your
paper.
little backpack?
I have it right next to me, but somehow I didn't throw the notebook in. And so in classic, I just went to Valerie's office. I was like, hey, I'm hosting and I came unprepared to class today. And I have to write things down. Like
Oh, yeah, if I don't physically write it down,
I'm a
it
note
just-
taker. And so I'm like, oh yeah, this is who we're having on today. And this is what we're talking about. So it's very entertaining over here. Okay, speaking of who we're having on today and what we're talking about, still to come in the program, we are going to have, and I may do a little switch up of guests here. It's a work in progress, but we are for sure going to have in studio with us Finn Church. You probably heard, if you're been listening to Leland, you heard Leland interview John Rich about his efforts to save Mr. Church's property. It has already had 3 easements condemned to be given to Alabama Power, and he's had no success in negotiating with them. This is his forever land. This is where he built his home that's retirement. There's been John Rich has posted videos that have included video from the property. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's kind of like the American dream, right? When I was growing up, home ownership seemed like such a foreign thought to me. But when I was looking for a house, and I did in fact get to buy one, I was looking for two things. One is a big front yard, and one was a wraparound porch. I was like, I don't care about the condition of the inside. I just need a porch. And to the people who are like, you could build a porch, I was like, nope, I want a porch. And I've spent more time on my porch. It was the best investment. But here's a man who worked his entire life, built a business, got very involved in the trucking industry. Finn Church, just a remarkable all-American story, bought this land only to have parts of it condemned, and not just for the power company, but now because of House Bill 400 that passed in 2019, the power company has the right to lease out these easements that they took by eminent domain to telecoms companies. And so he could have these trucks coming in and out. To hear him talk about it, it's just heartbreaking. And what it's done to him just as an American, as an Alabamian. And so we're going to talk to him a little later. He's going to be in studio with me at 1 o'clock. So we'll talk about his story. Earlier, we had Beth Quave, who is a member of DAR. They have had now 12 chapters in Alabama. So if you know somebody who's a member of DAR, if you have the ability to join the DAR, maybe your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother was already a member, and you've thought about doing it, now is the time, because the woke left has gone in and said, men who put on a dress, they're allowed to be daughters. The insanity of that, the outright insult that is to every woman who came before these men, and this is a new and recent thing. Within the last several years, the national leadership has kind of secretly been doing this. Women around the country who are members of DAR haven't even known, haven't seen the images, haven't really followed, been able to get information about this because it was somewhat done on the shy. They said they passed a non-discrimination, and then they used a non-discrimination language, which does not protect men, by the way. Everybody is for non-discrimination. Actually, that reminds me, there's an Auburn story I can talk about in terms of that. But everybody's for non-discrimination. We don't want you discriminated against because of the color of your skin, because you're male or female, because of your religion. Like, there are actually federal standards to what's protected, and men in dresses ain't one of them. I mean, maybe if you want to claim mental illness and you want a disability exemption for something, but not DAR. Not sons of the American Revolution. Like, go join the organization that you belong in. And yet DAR is under attack, and it gets me going. I started talking about that discrimination. It reminds me, about a week or two ago, I did a story on Auburn University. Now, it was interesting because University of Alabama changed their non-discrimination policy and got rid of the woke gender ideology stuff, okay? Because they had been defining sex to include gender identity and gender identity and gender presentation. I can't remember. Some other cockamamie thing. Men in dresses, that's what we're talking about. Can a man declare he's a woman and go into the woman's restroom, the woman's locker, live in a woman's dorm? During the height of insanity, the Biden administration, they were saying yes. Like, in K-12 schools and in colleges, you have to buy into this. University of Alabama last year, Alabama, I guess it might have even been 2 years ago, Alabama passed the What is a Woman Act. And it says that, no, we're not playing your silly games. You're ridiculous. It's insulting to women. It's insulting to little girls. We don't care about your delicate feelings. I don't. Reality doesn't care about your delicate feelings. I wish it did, but it doesn't, and that's life. And so the state of Alabama passed the What is a Woman Act. Susan DuBose carried it. I believe Apryl Weaver was the Senate sponsor. Both of them are local to here. And it said, in Alabama, we're only going to recognize men and women. We're not going to play your silly games. And so University of Alabama changed their non-discrimination policy to conform to reality
and the law, Alabama law, and what the Trump administration has done. Because on day one, the Trump administration said, we are done with your silly games. He ran on that. That was an issue people genuinely care about. You talk about independent voters and things that swing them, and even moderate Democrats. This idea that a man can put on a dress and scream at you, use my correct pronouns, as they have a mental lapse. And we're supposed to say, yeah, sure, go hang out with our girls. And so University of Alabama fixed their language. Yay, University of Alabama. If you are an alumni there, feel free to write the president of the university and be like, thank you for doing this. Auburn, which on most scales and things, Auburn is more conservative. Auburn has not changed their language. So I write them and I say, hey, why is this radical gender ideology stuff is still in your policies and procedures? I get this mealy-mouthed, we're complying with the law. We really are. Never mind what our actual, the policy online. I said, show me the policy change. Show me where sex does not include this radical nonsense. They haven't. We're weeks later. They still haven't. If you are an alumni of Auburn University, now might be a good time to call that university and say, what you doing? Why are you playing into this nonsense? Because the sooner we get this out, the healthier our schools are going to be, the healthier our kids are going to be. The fact that we had to pass a law defining what a woman is tells you how insane and off their rockers some people on the left is. I'm continuing to watch news here about the case for Brian Thompson's killer, and they're talking about the people who celebrated this death. Who are these people? Who are these people who celebrate murderers and want boys in your locker room? They're all the same, and they ain't quite right. All right, with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute. You're listening to Apryl Marie, filling in for Andrew.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Apryl Marie here. Eating lunch during that break, unless you are a James Robinson listening in which case there's no food or drink in the studio at all. Never has been.
Nope, never.
He once came in and said hi, and I was like,
Hi there.
You didn't catch me with anything. I don't know what you're talking about. You can dock my pay for that. Apryl Marie here, filling in for Andrew. John Bird keeping me company. We are watching the Mangione trial or hearing that was earlier today. He has pled guilty to the federal charges of stalking that resulted in murder. That may not be the actual charge, but that was the gist of it. And immediately following, his defense attorneys moved for the state charges against him to be dropped because of double jeopardy. And so they, according to the prosecutors, and we played that press conference earlier, according to the prosecutors, there is no deal in place in terms of sentencing, that it was an open plea, and so there was no deal cut there. But he did, in fact, during the hearing, admit to the crime, admit to planning it, say he knew what he was doing, and you know, this is you don't often get this kind of closure, but for the family of Brian Thompson and his loved ones, his friends, this is some semblance of that. They don't have to go through all of the trial. Some of the evidence has since been, they're showing it on air now on some of the news stations of of the evidence they had against him, which was overwhelming. It was incredibly overwhelming. And for those who are, in fact, on the those who are in fact, on the train of, oh, maybe Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk, I just want to say he did, and the evidence in that case is as overwhelming too. Like, get out of your little silo and look at the facts. Probably one of the most frustrating things to happen to the conservative movement is this hijacking of the narrative following Charlie's assassination, where almost immediately following, the conspiracy theories, were louder, and those making them were louder than the actual crime itself. And so still stunned by that. Okay, well, we've got a lot going on this afternoon. In just a few minutes, we're going to have, and this is kind of a surprise call-in, but we're going to have Hoover Mayor Nick Durzis on the line. He's going to call us. You hear that over there, John Bird? He's got it. So we'll talk to him a little bit. They've got a groundbreaking that he is leaving here shortly. And we'll talk to him a little bit about the healthcare facilities they've got open there. Some really great things happening in cities all around the Birmingham metro area. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on them here as information breaks on their budgets and different things they're doing. I think it's incredibly important that we pay attention to these municipalities and hold people accountable for what they ran on, especially if they ran on fiscal responsibility, or they ran on some of these other issues, public safety, things among them. We've got some great opportunities for things to grow. And it's funny because I don't always pay attention to what's going on in Trussville, but even Trussville has some cool things happening around it now. I say that like it's the stepchild. Oh, even Trussville. No, Trussville's got great things happening, and they've got a new mayor there. It's actually really cool to watch these new mayors in these cities around the Birmingham metro area here in central Alabama, because there's a number of them. And I was covering those races during that last municipal election. But we've got a new mayor in Mountain Brook, a new mayor in Homewood, a new mayor in Trussville, and Hoover. And so I'm excited to bring on the line the new mayor of Hoover, Nick Durzis. Well, welcome to the program, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What a pleasant surprise. I appreciate you finding the time to call.
No problem. I'm just leaving. We just did a groundbreaking of new 80,000 square foot surgical center over here at Stadium Trace off of Highway 150. And I'm glad to be in the car with some air conditioning, because I don't know if you know it or not, but it's very hot outside.
It is hot out there. I was actually looking at images. Some mutual friends are there. Paul DeMarco went over. Well,
Yes.
can you tell me a little bit about the surgical center that you guys? This is big news for the city of Hoover, right?
It, well, it is. It's really they call it longevity. So it's there's a lot of wellness. They're saying it's pretty much the first of its kind in the state of Alabama. So I've got to really look into that. But when we start talking about surgical centers, we never have enough. A lot of our folks have to go to one doctor, and then all of a sudden you've got 2 weeks later to go to another place. This is pretty much, it's almost like all in one. So everybody that starts here, they're going to have operating rooms in here also. So it's almost like one-stop shopping, and I think that's what people are looking for today. And again, this part of Hoover, and obviously towards the Bessemer area, Shelby County, the region. I think when people really find out in the next couple of years when this thing is built, it should really be an added amenity. And when we talk about good things for our citizens, that's what they're looking for. We want good quality of life.
Yeah, and this is something that I feel like we've seen a lot of promises when it comes to economic development. Hoover's bringing it. You're bringing the jobs. You're bringing the people. You've seen a lot of growth even in your short time there. What other great things are happening in Hoover at the moment?
We just announced this past week that we're going to have HomeSense, which will be the first HomeSense in Alabama. It's a TJ Maxx brand.
Oh, nice.
They're opening up next to Trader Joe's, right there at 31 and 150. And there's Big Lots who went out of business a few years ago. HomeSense, again, first one in the state of Alabama. We're all excited. We know that all the TJ Maxx brands do a fantastic job. And again, I've already gotten a lot of emails from let's say ladies that know what HomeSense is. They're excited about it coming. And again, we're trying to, when I ran for mayor, I said we've got not only to build new things, but we've also got to do what we can to fill up these boxes that we have. So that's a priority for the administration, and so far we're having very good luck.
Yeah, and there seems to be a lot happening on that front. Okay, we have to take a quick break. Can you hold tight with us for a few more minutes?
I will. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna hold tight. We'll be right back with Hoover Mayor Nick Durzis. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Apryl Marie here, filling in for Andrew. On the line, I've got Mayor Nick Durzes with us. Thank you for holding, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the mayor is leaving the South Haven Surgical Center. Hold on. Did I get that right? Yes.
That is correct. Yep.
South Haven Surgical Plaza, which just did the groundbreaking. Now, I'm looking at some photos from the event. It looks like you had a number of elected officials there with you.
There were several. Jimmy Stevens, Judge Bolin, Senator Wagner, some of our city council members. Yeah, it was a good crowd, and everybody again is very excited about this new campus that's going to be built, which will again serve Hoover and surrounding areas.
And the person who brought it is Lori Skelton, and not just she hasn't just been a big contributor to the community, but it's kind of a family legacy for her.
Well, it really is. That's what's exciting. I've known the family for back in the and back really late 70s to the 80s. Her dad, Fred Skelton, had the idea to buy that piece of property on US 31 where the nursing home sits today. This goes back about 60 years. And people said, you got to be out of your mind. You're going out there. Well, who's coming? So what a visionary that gentleman had. If you look where that place stands today compared to right in the middle of Hoover on US 31. But they wanted to do something to make sure that families that had elderly relatives, parents, that they had a place that they felt like they could take and they'd be well cared for. And that really is the legacy to go back 60 years. Fred died before I met any of the family members, and then Rita, Lori's mom, ran it, and actually Brian Skelton became a very good friend of mine. He was the city council member and a short stint as mayor of Hoover back in the day. But again, visionary, they have been involved in Hoover. They've lived in Hoover for over 60 years. And I'm just very proud of knowing them and just really excited about what Lori's doing now.
Well, that's awesome. And like I said, there's a lot going on in Hoover. Now, you've been mayor kind of long enough to really get into everything. What do you have kind of coming up that people should be kind of paying attention to in the city of Hoover?
Well, yeah, one of the things I ran on was economic development and how poor of a job that I thought the past administration did with Galleria. I mean, it's 9 years. I saw nothing happen over there. That was really one of the catalysts for me to decide that I could do better than that. And went to Chicago in January, met with some of the ownership group, and said, hey, we would love for you to do something. We've got to bring this place back. We may not bring it back to what it was 40 years ago, but we can do a heck of a lot better. And if you're not going to do something, not going to spend the money to revitalize it, please sell it. So it is up for sale. They're taking bids right now, and I'm hoping in the next 3 to 4 months we can announce a new owner. And I've talked to some folks that are very interested, and I can assure you that the city will certainly, myself, the council will be talking to them. And we've got a lot of great ideas. The great ideas are not just putting a bunch of apartments over there. That is not an idea. It's not a great idea. It won't happen as far as I'm concerned. And we want to, go to the summit. People do shop today. The mall is big. We may have to tear some of it down, but it's got to be attraction. There's got to be reasons you want to come to the mall, and that's what I'll be talking with council. If and when we talk about the new ownership group, wherever that may be.
That's going to be incredible. I do know that was such a cornerstone of the campaign is, make Hoover again and revitalize and bring a new energy. And I really feel like it's really hard to not look at the council meetings and see that tides have changed and y'all are working together. Even when there's disagreements, y'all are still working together to get things done.
100%. You can't agree on everything, but you can agree to disagree, and you move on to the next item because we all, again, I said it during the campaign, we work for the citizens of Hoover, and we're going to do what they want us to do. And the other thing I'll say that I'm very proud of for the staff and Brian Munger, who's the new city administrator, we got stuck, and I thought it was just I've been very critical of the exit 9. The fact that we signed an agreement to do a 50-50, which is going to cost us over $60 million. And then we also signed and said anything over whatever the amount would be, we would pay 100%. And again, we were saddled with that, and thank goodness that we were able to get the Brian and staff to reach out to our regional planning, and they have last week came and they've offered up $19 million because it's going to be a regional. It's going to help not only the city of Hoover, it's going to help Helena, it's going to help Shelby County, it's going to help our whole region. But that $19 million, we're very thankful for on the federal side to get that money that will obviously offset some of the money that we were going to have to spend. Because again, we don't know when that thing goes to bid, what that 50/50, and then 100% of the overage will be. So again, things that we're doing, we're going to make sure that we're not going to saddle our citizens with anything that is somewhat ridiculous. And again, that whole deal I thought was very poor, and we're going to do our best to make sure that we don't get saddled with anything else like that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things is you came in and you're calling a spade a spade. If it's a bad deal, it's a bad deal, and people have been stuck with some bad deals for a minute. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to call in. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and look forward to seeing you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. That was
Bye-bye.
Mayor Nick Durzis of Hoover with an unexpected call in. I pinged them as I was getting photos from the event, and so he took the time to give us a call, and I appreciate that. All right, we are going to take a quick break here. John Bird, I know I'm going a little early, but we're going to have another call in just a minute. Break here. You are listening to The Line, but instead of Andrew Mclain, you've got Apryl Marie here filling in. Back in just a second. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Like, you hear that little squeak? I'm over here playing with my mic. For those of you watching the YouTube, I'm eating during breaks, which is very entertaining over here. So yeah, that's what we're coming into. I have not touched up my lipstick in a minute, but I might.
You look
we
fabulous.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I mentioned it earlier. I have an Arizona tan. Yeah,
I'm
I
jealous.
almost laughed at Durzus when he said it's hot out there. I'm like, yeah, try going to visit the Grand Canyon and the Hoover Dam in this. I think it was 110 at one point, and so yeah, it was a good time. That said, it really is one of those things where I feel like my kids are going to remember it forever. Our great adventure out west. All right. So we had Nick Durzus on the line just now, an unexpected phone call from him. Now we have Paul DeMarco on the line. This is not an unexpected call. We actually planned this in advance. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Apryl Marie. Hope y'all are well today.
We're doing well. Well, you probably just heard me say it, but we, as you guys were wrapping up the event, Nick Durzus went ahead and gave me a call. So we talked about the health center that you are just now leaving. Great
Yep,
event.
Just said hello to the mayor myself. So it's small world, but yeah, it was a great event, and now on to the weekend soon enough.
On to the weekend soon enough. Well, there's a lot going on in terms of crime and law enforcement, and a lot happening. The story of the day is Mangione pleading. He had a hearing today, and we cut live to some of the prosecutors. It's kind of an incredible time and place to be alive, where you have to actually say that that this man is not a hero. But that's where we are. We live in a day and time where the prosecutors said repeatedly, several of the speakers in the press conference said, this man does not deserve hero status. You're a big criminal victims advocate. What do you think of this?
Well, again, you first go to the family of the victims. You go to the victim, and you wonder, let me get this straight. How is this going to play out? Ultimately, will he deserve the punishment, get the punishment he deserves for committed cold-blooded murder? There's no ifs, ands, and buts. He did it. So where are we, and how are we at this place in New York where, what is going to be the ultimate sentence here?
Yeah, it's so it looks like what they're saying is it was an open plea. So he's rolling the dice. He spoke and said that he did it and that he pre-planned it, and now it's all comes down to the sentencing, and I think what he did is just it's next level. We're coming off of the the execution earlier this week for the heinous crime of the man who murdered, sexually assaulted and murdered the 5-year-old. When you look at these crimes, there's an element of planning and an element of just disgust that kind of goes into this. Mangione, he planned that. He stalked him as if he were, on a hunting expedition.
Well, the question is, for what he pled guilty, what is the most he can get?
I believe it's life in prison.
Without parole?
I'll double check that.
Because I was reading it, and I can't say right here on the air if that's accurate or not. It may be. But, that would be my question. In a state like New York, would you even get the death penalty? We had trouble, here in Jefferson County this past week where an individual was convicted of capital murder, decapitated his victim, set him on fire, and the jury did not give him the death penalty. He got life without parole. So the question is, in New York, would that be a possible for his sentence?
And so
or would it be?
It is life without parole because it's what he pled to was the federal charges, not the state charges. And I imagine a part of it, and so the defense has asked for the state to drop their charges based on double jeopardy. And I suspect that part of what went through his mind is that all things being equal, he'd rather be in a federal prison than a New York prison.
I agree with you. That's the now. If this judge does that, but we can look at some of the sentences that have happened right here in Alabama, and I think everybody thinks, oh, these these crazy weak sentences only happen in blue states.
Oh, no.
You and I could spend the afternoon, and I could tell you about horrible plea deals and horrible sentences that the citizens of Alabama, that there has not been justice for crime victims in Alabama.
Oh,
and why it's so important to pay attention to what's happening at our courthouses across the state of Alabama.
yeah, it is really, it's really telling. I think one of the things that we hopefully see under Tuberville is when he gets the opportunity to appoint judges, when he gets the opportunity to appoint judges, and he puts people on the court who are going to be justice minded, who are going to not give slaps on the wrist. And we've got to get to a point where we during elections are paying more attention to judges. This is something that I think is we have to do.
It's twofold. Yes, the governor has the ability to appoint judges, district attorneys, sheriffs, the parole board, and then the public has got to make sure they're paying attention.
Yep, absolutely.
What is the record of some of these judges that are on the ballot?
Well,
and we've seen it right here in Jefferson County at the criminal courthouse.
And one thing you and I frequently talk about is the legislature's role in this. What are are they doing more to let people out? What's happening with pardons and paroles? What's happening? What's happening? What are they doing to protect the people of Alabama?
Well, there have been some strong efforts like Anaya's law that has made a tremendous effort, and you give kudos to the legislature for that. But then you also saw where the legislature allowed for more split sentences, where we see it time and time again. Somebody commits a horrible crime, they get a sentence of 20 years, but only have to serve 5 years.
Yeah.
That's not fair to the crime victims, and it's not good for public safety. And again, the legislature passed that legislation, and it's not right for what I see for some of these violent crimes that we're seeing out there committed and the revolving door at some of our courthouses.
Well, and you sent the story you sent me earlier. It's an 1819 story, which again, everybody go to 1819 News. It's Montgomery man released on bond after drunkenly shooting at cops. We have to hold our law enforcement in higher esteem than this. Our judges need to hold our law enforcement in higher esteem than this. This is just crazy town.
Yeah, I mean, you read the story. I mean, shoots 30 rounds at police officers. If he's willing to do that, shoot at police officers, and was charged with attempted murder, and he's going to be back on the street, you think? What do you think is the potential for the future based on those allegations that what he did?
Yeah, and Montgomery has become, it is a hot mess. Birmingham increased the number of law enforcement officers on the street. Mayor Woodfin was going after some of these bigger economic development projects, and he prioritized. He was up for re-election. He was going for these economic development. He prioritized boots on the ground. We know there's an effective solution to preventing crime and dealing with crime, and it's supporting our law enforcement.
I want to remind your listeners, it wasn't that long ago in Montgomery, there was a witness that left the courthouse in Montgomery, the Montgomery County Courthouse, and was shot and murdered outside the courthouse. When he had left the court, this is one of the witnesses in one of the cases. It's been within the past 5 years.
That's insane.
It was also the shooting literally right there with a Renaissance Hotel, right in the heart of Montgomery, that kind of entertainment district over there. Remember that she shot? 12 people were shot. If you recall,
pure insanity. And the mayor has fought the efforts to get him assistance, tooth and nail, and that's been a huge deal. But we see this all the time. We see this with leftist mayors who want to defund the police and who want to marginalize what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We see this with prosecutors who take plea deals with repeat offenders. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. Just as immigration became a huge topic for elections, I feel like that's where we're going to end up with crime, especially with these repeat offenders. The pendulum has swung.
The repeat offenders don't just pick one place. They go where they think they can victimize, and if it's a place that they feel, well, hey, they don't have the police presence, they're going to go to that place. So we need to all pay attention. To me, it's the most important part of any government responsibility is public safety.
Uh,
You know,
Absolutely. I mean, we just had Chief Nick Durzis, who's now Mayor Nick Durzis, on, and I think a big part of why he was elected was that the people of Hoover they knew him. They had a level of respect for him because of the way that he handled, crime in his city.
yeah, public safety. You cannot put public safety anything but the most important priority, and make sure it is well funded. You have enough officers on the streets. They have the equipment to do their job. Everything is secondary. Public safety is number one. Everything, it doesn't matter. That affects every part. It affects your schools. It affects your economic development. It affects everything is number one. You start letting that go, everything falls after that.
Absolutely. I was telling people earlier today, and I'm not going to ask you to get into specifics with me, but I've told people, I covered the municipal elections, and that was from mayors to city council, those races. And I really want people to realize that how important these local offices are, and you can't kind of take your foot off the gas now, because now we're in budgeting time, and we're in how are we going to lead, and what does this look like time, and I think that's so incredibly important all around the Central Alabama area.
And everybody needs it. They're like, oh, I'm going to leave that to the elected officials. Everybody campaigns on public safety, but you need to make sure it translates at the budget time as well.
It really is, because these promises, and I tell people this all the time, this is promises kept, right? Everybody runs on we're gonna support education, we're gonna support public safety, we're gonna be fiscally responsible and transparent. This is the put up or shut up time.
Look, people talk about Donald Trump. He campaigned on doing something about giving immigration. Give the man credit. He absolutely has, and it's made a difference. So he campaigned on it. He kept his promise, and you see results.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to call, Paul. Now, I will. So you are in between events today. I love this for you. You're so involved in your community. You're leaving Hoover, and you were there. You do a lot with the chamber there.
I did. We have the Hoover Small Business Alliance in Hoover, where we, basically try to help small businesses talk to each other about what can they do. I mean, you think about the employers, but 80% of all jobs out there because of small businesses. And so while we love economic development in Alabama and all the great jobs it's been through these, automotive, aviation, maritime, you still got to make sure that our small businesses support each other, because that's what drives the economy around the country.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to call. Tell our listeners where they can find you online.
On X at Paul_DeMarco.
All right. Thank you, Paul, and you take care. That was Paul DeMarco on the line. We will be back in just a minute with Finn Church. You guys hold tight.